of a child seem to turn to reality before the child herself turns to maturity. The hopes of merely standing on that impossible-looking 4-inch piece of lumber are the things that drove the champions, like Betty Aquino, to the accomplishments of today. The span between hopes and achievement somehow seems shorter in this sport that is for the young. Today's aspirations are tomorrow's abilities. The expanse of the exercise mat lessens with knowledge, the knowledge of a 14-year-old, like United States champion Kim Zmeskal. Appear to the dreamers, it can be done. It is a sport that is bigger than life, a sport whose most dominant figure in the world would appear himself bigger than life. Bela Karolyi is gymnastics' most recognized name and most dominant personality, a big man in a small person's venue. And when the dreaming stops, there are the few who awake to the possibility of accomplishing something that has not been done before. For the United States women's team, this could be their moment. It is a sport that takes the best of a lot of worlds. Dedication, athleticism, daring, defying the extremes, grace. This is the sport of gymnastics, and these are its championships. We welcome you to the 1991 World Gymnastics Championships here in Indianapolis, Indiana. This is only the second time in a long history of World Championships, dating all the way back to 1903, that this event has been held here on American soil. The last time was in 1979, back in Fort Worth. We could see a first, and the crowd you're listening to right now can be very much a factor in the team competition tonight. Hello, everybody. I'm Barry Tompkins, along with Bart Connor and Kathy Johnson. And Kathy, we might, in fact, see something unprecedented tonight.
The Americans are in second place behind the Soviets and ahead of a very strong Romanian team. The U.S. has never won a World Championship team medal, so this might be history in the making. Kim Zmeskal and Betty Aquino are both here and look very strong. They have very different styles. Kim is short and powerful, and her routines are very quick and energetic. Betty is long and lean, and she really shows off those long lines. And then there's Shannon Miller, who was the top American during the compulsories and actually second out of the entire field. She has one of the most difficult balance beam routines in the world. Keep in mind, never a medal, so this might be a first.
Really would be a first. And of course, Bart Connor, this team is coached by arguably the most recognizable name in the sport of women's gymnastics, Bela Karolyi. What does he bring to this dance?
Well, there's no question that Bela is perhaps more famous than some of his great gymnasts like Mary Lou Retton and Nadia Comaneci. He's the most passionate and intense coach I've ever seen. And he really has this team really peaked. They look great in training. They're not missing any exercises. I think they're going to perform just beautifully here.
Well, Kathy, it is a fact that the United States has a realistic chance, but it is by no means a gimme. Who else is here?
They will have to be very consistent to hold off the Romanians and the Chinese. The Chinese are superb on balance beam and uneven bars, but a little weak on floor exercise and vault. And the Romanians are the only team to ever beat the Soviet Union at the World Championship, so we know their potential.
Well, the Romanians will be on beam first. Kathy, advantage, disadvantage?
Well, it can be a very precarious event to start on, but historically they're very solid on this event, especially when the pressure is on.
So let's take a look at how the rotations will be. The United States will start on the uneven bars, as you see the Soviet Union on vault, the Romanians we mentioned on beam, and the Chinese in floor exercise. So once again, everybody kind of giving this one to the Soviets. The battle is for the rest, and this battle is brought to you by Diet Coke. You're going to drink it just for the taste of it. And by Bud Dry. Dry brewed so it drinks light, yet satisfies completely. To the first rotation, this the women's team final, and hopes high for a United States medal for the first time. United States, of course, coached by Bela Karolyi.
She's got it.
And here is the way the United States will line up for the uneven bars.
And there's a lot of strategy involved in determining the lineup. It's very similar to baseball in their batting lineup. That first gymnast up is certainly counted on to get on base or come up with a very solid score and set the pace for the entire event.
And of course, for the Soviet Union, they've got 5 home run hitters.
This is unbelievable. Any one of their gymnasts could be the final gymnast up on any of these teams. Look at that, a double twisting Yurchenko for the first vault. That is incredible.
Natalia Kalinina.
What's amazing about this young lady, she's the Goodwill Games all-around champion, and here she's almost sacrificed going up as the first performer.
This is one of the most difficult vaults being done in women's gymnastics. You could see her push off the horse. She has to generate enough speed and power to crank 2 twists before she lands. Now, as you said, Bart, the first gymnast up is almost sacrificed. They tend to score a little bit lower, even if the routines are the equivalent of some of the final performances, because the judges wait for those bigger scores to come in later in the lineup.
Well, she sure didn't leave much room to get better. 9-9 on her first vault.
This is exactly why the Soviets are the best in the world. They start with 9-9s and they finish with almost 10s. Another incredible vault.
They will take the best of the 2, of course.
Which I'm sure will be her first vault. This wasn't quite as good, but almost. Look at that, just a slight hop on the landing.
So it might cost her a little bit. Another look.
Again, this is the Yurchenko vault. It's a round-off entry. It's become very popular in women's gymnastics.
So we'll see if Kalinina can improve on that 9-0 and does, or 9-9 rather, and does not 9-8-7-5. But boy, does that set a tone. Hillary Grivich of the United States now on the uneven bars.
And Hillary is second up. First girl up, Michelle Campy, scored a 9.8. A great start for the United States. These gymnasts are very well prepared for this competition. Here's her release move. She doesn't have the most difficult uneven bar routine here, but it's very solid and certainly will keep the momentum going for this team. Here comes the dismount, a double back, and a good landing. Those will be so critical throughout the competition, particularly when it's this close, and they've got to try and stay ahead of the Romanians, and in order to do that, they've got to stick the landings.
One of the trademark of Bela Karolyi's gymnasts is that he designs a routine that's very predictable. They do one release move, a double back dismount, and many of them do a full twist as she did there before the double back dismount to fulfill the requirements but not take any unnecessary risk. He wants young ladies that can hit routines every time.
And there is her score, 9-8 for Hillary Grivich. Very good for the first 2 United States performers. Rosa Galieva, Soviet Union in the vault.
Oh, that is a super vault. Very difficult, particularly for a gymnast of that size. She's quite tiny, and this vault requires so much speed into the horse. Perfect timing on the push in order to pull off that front pike with a half twist. Watch right here, the push. And a good landing. A little bit close to the horse. That will be the only deduction.
Well, Kalinina a 9-9 as the first vaulter, and now Galieva waiting for her score, and her score 9-8-8-7. Not bad. Betty Aquino of the United States on uneven bars. Kathy Johnson, you like the idea of the United States starting out on bars.
I think this is a great rotation for them. They're very solid here. Betty has everything in this routine she needs. Here's the first release move. High Jaeger front. Very well done. She follows that with a reverse hex coming up right here. So she has 2 release moves out of the way. Only weak part of her routine comes up right here. It's the dismount. It's only a front somersault with a half twist, which is very, very easy. But fortunately for her, in the code of points, that dismount has been upgraded to be a C instead of a B. Of course, elements of difficulty are graded from A to D, D being the most difficult. And it's really not comparable to the rest of her routine. That will be a slight deduction.
And just as the United States getting a good first rotation, so too is the Soviet Union on vault now. Lyshenko.
And they're double twisting Yurchenko. There are only a handful of gymnasts that can perform that vault, and most of them are on the Soviet team.
9-8-3-7, the score for Betty Aquino. on the uneven bars, really indicating a good routine considering perhaps the lack of difficulty.
This Soviet team is so far superior to any of the other teams in this competition. And you can really see it here right on the first rotation. Their level of difficulty is outstanding.
That was Tatiana Lysenko. She is from Kherson in the Ukraine. And again, you have to pose the question as you see her score 9.975, leaving not much that's up from there. But you really have to wonder now what will happen to the Soviet team when, of course, the republics become teams of their own. Two of their team here from the Ukraine, for instance. Shannon Miller of the United States, and she, too, has kind of burst upon the gymnastics scene.
This is a great event for Shannon. She has quite a bit of difficulty in the routine, starting out right here with a full pirouette into a ginger. Nicely done. She has to watch slight form breaks. You can see her toes come unpointed sometimes. Those are very minor deductions. Watch this. Unbelievable. Full twisting double back. No one does that dismount better than Shannon Miller. Excellent execution.
Really nailed it there. Shannon Miller of Edmonds, Oklahoma. To the joy of the crowd here and to her coach.
Here you'll see her reverse hecht, which was her second release move. Plenty of height. And this really is the highlight of her routine.
This is a double back with a full twist. Great rotation. She finishes it easily.
So we await the score now for Shannon Miller, and a 9.9 on bars. Terrific for Shannon Miller.
One of the greatest lines I've ever heard a coach say was her coach, Steve Nuno, saying that she doesn't have a lot to say, she has a lot to do. She's very quiet, very shy, but intensely motivated.
And the Soviet Union already starting to hide from this field in the team competition, even in the midst of the first rotation. Tatiana Gutsu.
She performs the double twisting Yurchenko as well. This has become the Soviet compulsory vault, and they do it so well. The best part about her vault is the distance that she gets on the afterflight.
Well, they started with a 9.9. They haven't dropped off a bit.
Gutsu's the European Cup champion. As you mentioned, Kathy, although she has a little form break in the early part of that vault, she really travels a great distance from the horse. And that's tough for a young lady who's only 4 feet 5 inches tall.
That was her first vault. There's her score, 9.887. She, of course, will have another and an opportunity to better that score.
Bart, as you mentioned, she doesn't quite have the same polish as some of her teammates. Watch closely to see if she can keep her legs together and her toes pointed throughout the entire vault. Better landing on the vault. She's a little off center on the landing, however, and the legs still came apart right as she made contact with the horse.
How many times we heard this story, though? She said when she was 6 years old, she was selected out of a kindergarten class to train in gymnastics. So many of the Soviets and the Romanians got their start from the same way.
For better or worse. Second vault, 9.925 for Tatiana Gutsu. So she does improve from the first vault. And that she likes. We'll be back. The coach of this United States team here in these championships with his biggest little charge, Kim Zemeskel. Perhaps the term team might even be a little bit misleading, because what this really is a group of athletes who come together for a very short period of time. August 24th was when this team that we're watching tonight was put together. Kim Zemeskel, of course, everybody figured would be on the team. She didn't disappoint at this special performance to select the team in Indianapolis just a few weeks ago.
The sport of gymnastics is typically very much an individual sport until the World Championships and Olympics, where team is extremely important. And in an effort to pick the strongest U.S. gymnastics team possible, they decided to have the trials a little bit closer to the games in order for them to peak for the World Championships.
Betty Okino, I don't think also would be considered a surprise to have made the team competition here under Bella Caroli, who is her coach.
This is certainly the strongest U.S. team that I have ever seen fielded. Strong, particularly in terms of depth. Their 4th, 5th, and 6th gymnasts are extremely well prepared for the World Championships.
sports, particularly team sports, like to select the team 6 months, maybe a year ahead of a major world event. But in gymnastics, you need the people who are hot at the exact right time just before the games start.
And it is interesting, too, at this stage of women's gymnastics in the United States, there's a whole lot of great talent, very young, actually more talent than there are spots on this team. They actually selected out of this process a team of 8, and then it was pared down, of course, to 6. Kim Zmeskal now on the uneven bars.
This is considered by most to be her weakest event, but by far it is not a bad event for her. She has 2 big release moves in the routine, which is more than adequate in terms of difficulty. Here comes the first, a Ginger, just a slight leg separation there. She's set up for her reverse heft right here. Here comes the dismount. Very nice, laid out in, double pike. Beautiful work for Kim.
You know, the other thing that strikes me about her, too, she's just a ferocious competitor. Watch the boss, watch the pupil.
It's as if he wills her to make every move.
And he feels her pain and he feels her joy. You got it.
Kim doesn't have great amplitude, but she certainly has sufficient amplitude right there on the first release move. You could see the leg separation just slightly, minor deduction.
So Kim Zmeskal, 9-9-1-2 on the uneven bars. Excellent. And here is the Greta Garbo of women's gymnastics.
Bronze medalist on this event at the '88 Olympic Games. And boy, you can see why. She has impeccable form.
And you will not see that expression change throughout this competition at any time.
She truly is a joy to watch. Look at the leg form, the toes pointed throughout the entire vault. And her trademark landing, 1 foot slightly in front of the other.
9-9-5-0 for Svetlana Bogunskaya. And that's almost the norm for her. She'll have a try at improving that.
And though her vault is not as difficult as some of her Soviet teammates, because of that beautiful form, she allows no room for deductions.
The Soviets at this point are averaging about 9.9 for their vaulters.
Two identical vaults, both nearly perfect.
Bogunskaya from Minsk in Bielorussia, and Bielorussia is another republic. So it's going to be interesting. Cristina Bontas of Romania now.
She has an incredible mount sequence. Oh, no, she didn't do it connected. Usually she does this entire series without faltering. Of course, that won't be a deduction. It's just an option.
For Bogunskaya on her second vault, 9-9-6-2. So actually a slight improvement.
And as I said at the beginning of the show, historically, they are excellent on this event, even under pressure. They have scores 985, 9875, 9862, way up there. Back pike, slightly off on the landing, very minor.
The Romanians have gone through so many changes in the last couple of years because of the fall of Ceausescu, the dictator, and they cut the funding for their training program, sent all the athletes home to their home gyms, and left the National Training Center. And in the last 6 months, they've resumed the funding of the National Training Center, and they look really good here.
They have been a powerhouse in women's gymnastics for the past several years.
Here comes the dismount sequence. It's a round-off back handspring to a double back. Watch the height on this dismount. Way up in the air and a great landing.
Well, I tell you, if this first rotation is a sign of things to come, we're going to see some spectacular performances tonight here in Indianapolis. So we come to the end of the first rotation, and it has really been something special so far. No surprise here, the Soviet Union in first place. We wait for the second rotation to start. Let's take you back to some earlier round highlights, because there are a lot of teams all of a sudden starting to get into contention a little bit in the sport of gymnastics. The Bulgarians, for instance, had a very good competition here. This is Silvia Mitova in floor exercise.
And watch her tumbling technique. Opens with a beautiful and very difficult double layout. Unique choice of music and style, all her own. Finished with a very impressive final tumbling run. Her power is very deceiving. She doesn't look like she should have the power to generate this type of tumbling run. Double back, punch front. Routine just had such a great feeling.
So the Bulgarians kind of on the threshold of really moving into the upper echelon of the sport of gymnastics once again. But I'll tell you, if there was really a crowd pleaser, it had to be the Australian team. This is Julianne Monaco of Australia, and they did so well here.
This is probably the most dramatic and impressive improvement of a gymnastics team that I've ever seen. Obviously, an extraordinary amount of work went into this improvement.
This team really captured the fancy of the crowd here at the Hoosier Dome, too.
Certainly did. They employed a new Chinese coach a few years back, and they made some dramatic improvements in the overall program. These young ladies are very well coached.
Remember, the first 12 teams go on to the Olympic Games in Barcelona. So this was kind of a serve notice performance for the Australians.
Really, of all the teams in the competition, they probably had some of the best form that we've seen.
Also had some of the best team spirit that we saw here at the Hoosier Dome. They were together at all times, in the arena, outside the arena, downtown in Indianapolis.
They were 16th as a team in Stuttgart just 2 years ago. Now they find themselves in 6th place. Remarkable.
And again, we talked about the team spirit. There's the coaching staff with them. Australia really captured the crowd. Well, the Spanish men will not be participating in Barcelona, but the Spanish women will. Eva Maria Rueda on the uneven bars.
And we have been delighted with her performances over the last couple of years. Unfortunately, Spain had to compete without one of their top gymnasts, Alicia Fernandez, who tore her Achilles tendon.
2 years ago, this is a team that finished in 10th place in these championships.
It really seems as if the Spanish have a chance of winning some individual medals at least at the Olympics next year. They are very powerful.
So just a few teams to tuck away in your memory bank, perhaps as soon as Barcelona in 1992. Bulgaria, Australia, Spain, and Hungary. They will finish 5, 6, 7, and 8 in these World Championships. Coming up next, the United States. They're headed to the beam. Second rotation after this. Finishes her warm-ups on the beam. That's where the United States women will be this rotation. Here is the order: Michelle Campy, Hillary Grivich, Carrie Strug, Betty Aquino, Shannon Miller, and of course, Kim Zamesko. First up for the United States will be Michelle Campy.
Michelle has played an extremely important role so far in this American story and continues to do so. She's the leadoff gymnast on every single event for the Americans, which comes with a lot of pressure.
Remember, this was an 8-man squad just before the competition. 6 athletes were selected to compete, 2 thus becoming alternates. Sandy Woolsey and Elizabeth Crandall, and it did create a bit of a flap.
2 layout step outs. Very well executed.
Michelle, by the way, is coached by Rick Newman, who used to coach with Bella Caroli down in Houston, and Geza Pozar, the man who defected the same day Bella did. He's a Romanian choreographer. Now they live out in Sacramento.
As you know, it was a difficult decision for the coaches to make in terms of who would compete in the final 6. They decided on Michelle Campy, even though she's very inexperienced in international competition, because they thought the judges would appreciate this style. She's beautiful elegance. Double back dismount. Great landing. She has done a terrific job in this very pressure situation.
And she knows it, and she gets the obligatory hug once again from Bella Caroli as we look at Eugenia Popa of Romania, the Romanians in this rotation in floor exercise.
The Romanians certainly put a lot of pressure on the Americans in the first rotation, hitting beam so well. In fact, they made up some ground.
Something from the West Side Story.
Most of the Romanians chose American music for obvious reasons.
Michelle Campy, 9.862 on beam.
Eugenia was a member of the World Championship team for the Romanians 2 years ago in '89. She won a silver medal in the team competition there.
In this tumbling pass, you'll see she changes directions after the double twist. She does a punch front. Final tumbling run, which is a very difficult one, double back into a punch front somersault.
I have to admit, the choreography is rather unimaginative, don't you think?
I would agree. I don't care for the Romanians' choreography.
But the tumbling's good.
Tumbling is great. And certainly the choreography is not bad. I like the Soviets and the Americans a little bit better.
Choreography, if you don't mind a layperson's opinion, is almost independent of the music.
That's a pretty expert opinion, actually, Barry.
So Eugenia Popa of Romania, here's another look.
This is perhaps the best tumbling run. Round off back handspring, double back right to a punch front. This is very difficult, tough on the Achilles tendon, and especially at the end of the routine.
9.825 for Eugenia Popa, very representative score in floor exercise. As we look at Betty Okino now, the United States on the balance beam. Won the United States Championships in this particular discipline.
This is an excellent event for Betty. It's a place where she can really show off those long lines.
It's interesting, you guys have both been talking about long lines and how tall she is, and she's 5'1".
Doesn't she look like a giant
out there? She does.
Here's her most difficult tumbling pass. 2 layout step outs in a row. 1, 2. Very nicely done. Betty is capable of performing a triple turn on 1 foot. And the last I heard, she's opted not to do it in the team competition for consistency's sake. It would be right here. Nope, just the double, but boy, that's terrific. Very difficult to spot, very risky.
It has been pointed out before that Betty was actually born in Uganda. her father being from Uganda and her mother Romanian.
Here's her dismount pass, 2 back handsprings to a double back. Very critical landing here. And 1 step on the landing. An excellent routine. And she continues the momentum of the American team.
And the crowd has to be helping this American team as well. Listen to the crowd. Bella Caroli, who at this point can really do little more than prowl the sidelines and be a cheerleader just like the rest of his team. The work really starts back home. And home is back in Houston at Caroli's Gymnastics. He and his wife Marta trying to get teenagers and sub-teenagers to focus on the business at hand.
What is so interesting is young generation, is this very, very typical age of 14, 15. You would think, well, they're going to be shaky, they're going to be concerned. No, that's the type of age. But they are not concerned on anything else. They are not concerned because they don't have anything to hold on to. They do not have great background, great achievements already. So they are relaxed, they are hungry, they have nothing to lose. They go for it.
Kim Zmeskal perhaps indicative of exactly the type of athlete that Bella Caroli is dealing with. Will she be the next in a long run of champions? Champions, of course, have to serve their time in the minds of the judges. Judges themselves at this competition being monitored. That is something that hasn't gone on for a long time. The question now then arises, does the monitoring system work? Ask the man who knows. Ask the coach. Ask Bella Caroli.
I'm not 100% sure this did work. And I'm not 100% it will ever work. Judges are doing the same thing just like before, and even though they're mentioning positively certain names which they don't count on the internationals like Puerto Rico, I don't know what kind of Argentinian judge was mentioned as positive, but nobody had a word about the notorious cheaters. The Soviets, the Romanian judge, was outrageously favorizing her own team, killing everybody on the medal area. They did not mention anything about the Chinese coalition, who was with the Japanese, even talking to the competition, setting the score right wherever they wanted to be set. And this way, I don't believe the whole system is really having any kind of efficiency. But, how I just told, any tendency, any try, any struggle in order to set a better, a more subjective appreciation among the judges in behalf of the gymnast is welcome to see. And I personally applaud.
Which brings us to this competition and a very young American team. Bella Caroli and his wife Marta are people who have won. He won in Romania. He won some individual tests. Can he win a team competition here? What does Bella expect this time?
A bronze or silver on this very competition would really comfort everybody, would give a great pride being a bronze or a silver or who knows what kind of medal winner in a world championship. By the time as individual athlete, being just an individual, an isolated individual, they would never be around, anything like that one. So on this way, they have a very good incentive to work toward a perfect goal, and that is the team competition medal, which gives, and puts in the second place any kind of personal egos or ambitions. No, another way, sure, we are not lining them up like check figurines on the table. We are talking to them. We are setting. That's the way we think, we feel like, we're going to be efficient. That's the way how we're going to force the medal out. That's the way how you're going to make yourself very proud. I talked a little bit earlier. They are young enough and they are innocent enough to feel comfortable in each other's shadow, in each other's vicinity, in each other's help. And also they feel much more powerful as a unity than isolated individuals.
To those of you who want to see their little charge be the next Mary Lou Retton or Kim Zmeskal, he offers this advice.
Let them stay on their own clubs. Appreciate the preparation, what they're getting on the smaller or larger community. Have enjoyed the team environment, the gym environment, and those little kids can enjoy the status of the little queen of the team, the little star of the town.
We continue in the second rotation now. This is Tatiana Lysenko of the Soviet Union on the uneven bars. And the Soviet Union has been everything as advertised so far.
And she has a superb exercise on this event, particularly the dismount. It is just amazing, very difficult, and she does it extremely well. Here comes her first release move. Nice high Jaeger, right into a stalder on the low bar. Makes good use of both bars. Many of the gymnasts concentrate so much. Here's that dismount. Beautifully done. Double front with a half twist. Very difficult to land, and she does it so well.
Svetlana Bogunskaya, of course, the acknowledged star of this team. But I'll tell you what, you watch this and you just say, for how long?
This was a nice combination of different types of skills. As I was going to say, most of the gymnasts concentrate on only the high bar work, and she does both.
9-9-8-7. How much do you have to go to improve? Tatiana Lysenko. As we look at Yang Bo of China, this is her second vault.
Yang Bo has been having some problems here in this competition. She had a fall on the floor exercise. She has some low back problem and a left Achilles tendon that's very sore. So Yurchenko vault. Oh, no. Short on the rotation.
So that is her second. Her first vault was 9-6-7-5. Shannon Miller now, the United States. The Americans on beam. Betty Aquino, incidentally, a moment ago, 9-9-1-2 on the beam.
And this is Shannon's best event. This routine is difficult from start to finish. After this mount, she's going to swing down to a back roll to handstand, immediately into a back handspring layout.
Shannon, by the way, is coached by Steve Nuno from Dynamo Gymnastics in Edmond, Oklahoma. Steve, a Bella Caroli disciple of sorts. He worked under Bella for several months.
Here comes the most difficult pass in her routine. It has 4 elements in it. Back handspring, 2 layout step outs, into another back handspring. Very well done. Extremely difficult. Shannon takes so many risks in this routine. It's a nice combination. Along with Steve Nuno, Peggy Liddick has done an excellent job as the assistant coach, and she primarily works on the balance beam and floor exercise with Shannon. Here is a huge dismount, full twisting double back. Very well done, and will rival any of the Soviets on this event.
She knows she stuck it.
The Americans, by the way, have done so well on balance beam. Their averages are just under 9.9 to this point, the best U.S. team on the beam ever.
Well, Michelle Camper got him started, 9-8-6-2. Here's another look.
Watch this series. 4 elements across the balance beam. Highly difficult. And this is just great. This really puts her in a class with the Soviet gymnasts. Very risky and very well done.
Now we mentioned the scores so far. Hillary Grivich, a 9.85. Carrie Strug, 9.85. Betty Aquino just ahead of her, 9.912. And now Shannon Miller waits for her score. So far, an excellent second rotation for the American women.
By the way, Shannon finished second in the entire compulsory competition, which is just outstanding.
There it is, 9.95 for Shannon Miller.
Very nice.
And in fact, one of the judges actually gave her a 10. That, of course, has dropped off. The high was dropped off, the low was dropped off. 9.95, not bad. At the floor exercise now, Cristina Bontas of Romania.
You're in for a treat with this routine because of the tumbling. She has 3 excellent tumbling passes. choreography and the music selection is a little unusual. Watch this opening pass. Double layout. You can't stick it any better than that. Through to a double back. Highly energetic routine. Actually whip back with a full twist. Even more difficulty.
Is this music off of a USA Greatest Hits album?
Yes. An old Romanian favorite, deep in the heart of Bucharest.
Now watch this final tumbling run. Full twisting double back, but notice the open tuck position. Oh, that's great. Well, whether you like the composition or not, the judges are going to love that tumbling.
Cristina Bontas of Romania. Listen to the crowd. We mentioned this earlier, but this is a very knowledgeable crowd.
As you mentioned, Kathy, her tumbling is absolutely spectacular. This pass here, the whip back with a full twist right through to a back handspring to a tuck double back. Excellent combination.
So the scores for Cristina Bontas, look at this, 9-9-6-2. She also had a couple of tens, scores very high in this second rotation, and there's more. Don't go away. Indianapolis has firmly established itself as the mecca for the big event in sports. It's a city that has become host to some of America's most grandiose parties. The 1987 Pan Am Games, for instance, their opening ceremonies set the tone for this city. They were held at the Indianapolis Speedway, itself the hallmark of auto racing's grandest day. When the Pan Am Games were held here in Indy, they suddenly seemed to have the kind of international impact they lacked before or since. Basketball played the Hoosier Dome this year as Duke won the hearts of the heartland, and with it, won the national championship, beating the unbeatable UNLV along the way. The 500 held Memorial Day weekend has become that sport's best. The self-proclaimed greatest spectacle in racing is just that. And this year alone, Indy has played host to some of sport's biggest moments. Who could forget the PGA and the emergence of a new American hero, John Daly? Tennis has its yearly run here in Indy as well. The GTE National Hardcourt Championships that this year attracted Grand Slam champions like Pete Sampras and Boris Becker. And now it's the World Championships of Gymnastics, another event that the community has taken to heart and the world has noted. Jack Swarbrick, the chairman of the Indianapolis Organizing Committee, welcomed the world at the opening ceremonies.
To all of you, I say thanks for helping us share the magic.
He then pointed proudly to the facilities for competitors, media, and fans, and then answered the ultimate question. Is it just simply too much for the crossroads of America to handle?
First of all, if you pick your events carefully, as we try to do, you pick events that are compatible with each other. The crowd for this event, frankly, probably isn't the same as the crowd for the NCAA Final Four, but this way we've delivered an event to various segments of the community. But in addition, I think it's like anything else that you're trying to sell, and we want to sell our city. The repetitive nature of a lot of events in one year helps do that. I think Indianapolis has been in the sports spotlight this year in a way that's really pretty unique.
It's almost as if that applause were meant for the city of Indianapolis, which has played host in magnificent fashion so far. One of the true stars of this sport, Svetlana Bobinskaya, on the uneven bars.
And like Kim Zemeskal, this is Svetlana's weakest event. In fact, she's taken out one of the skills in her routine. She's only doing that one release move, the reverse hecht. Therefore, her level of difficulty is somewhat decreased, but look at the perfect form on every single position. Pike double back and a great landing. One thing the judges cannot do here is take form deduction. She has none.
You're so right, Kathy. In fact, her form is so clean on this final sequence of the routine, but as you mentioned, the difficulty level is not there. She earned a lot of her accolades early in her career by doing big difficulty. Now she's riding on her perfect form and technique to get big scores.
Well, and it worked for yet another time. 9-9-6-2 the scores for Svetlana Boginskaya. When you look at the Soviet scores as we watch Kim Zmeskal prepare for her beam routine, Soviets simply remarkable in the second rotation. 9-8-8-7, 9-9-2-5, 9-9-2-5, 9-9-8-7, 9-9-7-5, 9-9-6-2.
And the Americans have been doing so well on the balance beam. They have just done extraordinary work. And as Bart said earlier, this is really the best American team that we have seen on the balance beam. This is Kim's most difficult pass right here. It's 2 layout step outs. Here's a nice segment of Kim's balance beam routine. Not that difficult, but it's excellent dance work down low to the balance beam. It's her gymnastics series, combining 2 leaps in a row.
This is the most assertive U.S. women's team. They really seem to be attacking the work on the beam. No hesitation in any of the acrobatic elements.
And they really, with the exception of Betty Okino, seem to be almost interchangeable parts. They are all almost exactly the same.
Here comes her dismount. Landing very important here. Very well done. You've got to keep in mind, too, the pressure that these gymnasts are under. They're sitting in second place. An American team has never won a world championship medal in team competition. So they've got to be feeling a lot of nerves at this point. There's a beautiful arched balance position that's called a reverse plunge. And this is really what Kim is all about. Look at the spring in her legs and her air awareness. She knows exactly where she is to drop it in for a nice landing.
And there are scores, 9-9-5-0 for Kim Zmeskal. So the Americans doing very well on beam as we get now to Tatiana Gutsu of the Soviet Union on the uneven bar.
Now you go from Boginskaya, doesn't quite have the level of difficulty necessary for this level of competition, to Gutsu, who has more than enough. Here's her first release move, way up in the air, a high ginger. Watch how much speed she generates on these giant swings. Come up with a big release move, reverse heck, and this dismount is gorgeous. Watch the position in the air. Opens up into that